You've been playing a role your whole life. But one day something in you woke up. And there's no going back. There is a state that cannot be explained in words. You look at your life, at the choices you have made, at the words you have spoken, and suddenly something in you realizes, it was not really you. It was something else. It's as if you were in a dream, talking to other people's voices, acting out someone else's script, living a breath that wasn't your own. It's not a hallucination or a philosophy. It's a reality that most people stay in. They don't know that a performance has been playing out inside them for a long time. The actors change. Masks fuse to the skin. And most importantly, they don't know who the director is. But sooner or later, something in you wakes up. At first, like a slight sense of unease. If you're the mechanism, it's like rust. If you're music, it's like a false note. Something is wrong. Something doesn't sound right. And that falseness, it's deep, it's silent, and it's very precise. It doesn't arise in chaos, but in silence. When it's quiet all around, but not inside. It's not anxiety. It's not terror. It's deeper than that. It's the voice of someone you haven't heard in a long time. Watching you from within, but silent all your life. It's not conscience. It's not reason. It's what Jung called the center. That which is neither thought nor emotion. It's a witness. And he's awake. A powerful conclusion. When that witness wakes up, it no longer allows you to live your life the way you used to. And that's when you begin to notice. Your actions, your language, even your desires are not really yours. Something is controlling them. And that something has a name. There are things you can't see but that see you. An archetype is not just an idea. It's a living force. It exists not somewhere, not in books, not in myths. It's in your reactions, in your words, in your facial expressions, in your silence. You may not know she's in you, but she's acting. She drives you when you laugh insincerely. She takes the wheel when you suddenly explode at the person you love. She whispers to you when you choose a partner who looks like someone who once cheated on you. And you call it serendipity, chance, fate. And that's an archetype. It's not a role. It's not a psychological type. It's deeper than that. An archetype is like an unseen program, but it triggers your thinking, your emotions, your decisions. It doesn't ask for permission. It doesn't ask if you agree. It acts silently. And that's why it's powerful. Imagine you are a musical instrument. The archetype is the one who plays. And the melody it chooses isn't always yours. But you're used to it. You think that's what you sound like. And actually it's you who's letting someone else play. Jung said, until you realize the archetype, it's guiding you and you call it destiny. That's the key. Because archetypes are not evil. They are not enemies. They are patterns. Deep, ancient patterns of behavior embedded in humanity. They come to life in fairy tales, in myths, in dreams, and most importantly, in you. As children, we don't see an archetype. We see mom and dad. We see the world. But even then, the first forms come alive for us. A child saves mom. A teenager wanting to be a hero. A woman looking for a prince. A man running away from his father. They're all archetypes. And then we grow up. And we start repeating. The same scenarios. The same images. And it's all new, but inside it's déjà vu. It's like someone's already lived it. Translated with deephell.com, free version. And that's right. Lived in. All of them. For the archetype is common. It is older than you. Deeper than your memories. It is the collective memory of humanity that speaks through you. And that's why when you stop and start listening, something in you resonates. It's not logic. It's not intelligence. It's recognition. The archetype doesn't teach. Reminds you. He touches you not with a thought, but with a feeling. If it could speak in words, it would say, I've been here since the beginning. But archetypes don't just shape your light. They give birth to your shadow as well. For every image has a flip side. And if the hero lives in you, the shadow sleeps somewhere nearby. And if you are always good, somewhere in the depths of darkness accumulates. For the archetype never comes on its own. A powerful conclusion. You can't destroy the archetype. But you can see how it runs your life. And that is the first step to true power. For only those who can see the threads can get out from under the puppeteer's control. There is a part of you that you don't recognize. It doesn't look at you in the mirror. It doesn't speak with a voice. But it's there. Always. Your shadow. She's not scary. She is truthful. And that's why it's feared. The shadow doesn't live in the dark. It lives in your everyday life. In all the I'm not evil, it doesn't affect me, I'm in control. It grows in your restraint, in your smile, in your politeness. For whatever you displace does not disappear. It accumulates. The kind man who suddenly snaps and wrecks everything around him. The woman who has helped for years and then one day breaks off all relationships. The calm man who one day screams like something inhuman has awakened in him. These aren't anomalies. This is the return of Tiny. The shadow doesn't appear suddenly. She's always been there. She's been waiting. She's been signaling. Out of annoyance. Because of jealousy. Because of fatigue. Because of indifference. But you didn't listen. Because you were taught not to listen. They said be good. Be comfortable. Don't be angry. Don't yell. Don't say no. And you believed it. And you began to create a mask. One that's always calm. Always positive. Always meek. But inside that mask lives something you don't recognize. A shadow. And it grows. It feeds on your silence. Your, it's all good. Your fear of showing your true self. And when it finally breaks through, you don't recognize yourself. But it's in those moments that you're closer to the truth. For the shadow is not evil. It's a part of you that you left at the door. Often the most alive part. The strongest. The deepest. It contains your aggression, your sexuality, your wildness, your will. All the things that others didn't accept in you. And what you yourself have rejected. Jung didn't teach you to fight the shadow. He taught you to look it in the eye. Because that's the only way it stops controlling you. When you see it, it becomes an ally. It becomes a force. Sometimes the only thing that can save you. Imagine yourself in a room. It's dark. And you're afraid. But the shadow isn't a monster lurking in the corner. It's you standing in the dark. The light's just been turned off. And when you turn it back on, the fear disappears. The shadow doesn't die. But you see that it's you. Always. And that's when everything changes. For now you have access to the part you feared. And therefore the power it was hiding. A powerful conclusion. The shadow is not the enemy. The enemy is your unwillingness to see it. For it is the part of you that you rejected that holds your integrity. And without it, you are only half. And half a person will never be free. There's a part of every man that he doesn't talk about. It's soft, intuitive, emotional. It's not a weakness. It's his feminine side. The anima. It doesn't make him less masculine. She makes him alive. She's his ability to feel, to create, to be honest with himself. Every woman has a part of her that she's silent about. She's tough, determined, persistent. It's not cruelty. It's her masculine essence. The animus. It doesn't make her less feminine. It gives her the strength to say no, to move forward, to hold her limit. But when those parts are left in the shadows, war begins. Inside. A man who fears his sensitivity begins to control the woman who displays it. He calls it weakness. For he runs away from it within himself. The woman who does not trust her own strength begins to devalue men. She calls them irresponsible. For she has not accepted that image in herself. And then a relationship begins where no one is really dating. They're kind of around each other, but each plays a role. She's overly soft because she's afraid of power. He's overly tough because he's afraid of tenderness. And instead of intimacy between them, it's theater. A bond of bodies without a bond of souls. The anima and animus are not psychological chips. They are deep energies that either nourish you from within or destroy you from the shadows. That if you are a man, your anima manifests in your ability to feel the moment, to listen with your heart, to see beyond logic. If you are a woman, your animus speaks because of your courage, because of your direct language, because of your ability to go to your own without losing yourself. Jung wrote, "A man who has not integrated his animus will spend his whole life looking for it in women. He will fall in love not with a person but with an image, and always be disappointed, because he was looking for a part of himself in her. And he didn't find it. A woman who has not accepted her animus will fight with everything masculine in the world. She will fight for freedom, for strength, for equality, but inside she will remain discontent. She does not want to defeat man, but to find her inner support, one that no one will give from the outside. When these energies combine, a man becomes whole. A man who doesn't shy away from tears. A woman who is not afraid of strength. A man who can be gentle. A woman who can be direct. Then the tension disappears. And then love is real. Not dependence. Not projection. But an encounter. A powerful conclusion. Until you occupy your inner opposite, you remain divided. And everything you look for in the other is really living in you. You just haven't dared to look into that face. The world is a stage. And you've been on it for a long time. No rehearsal. No script. But with a mask. Not because you want to cheat. It's because you've been taught it's safer. To be comfortable. To be loyal. To be successful. And that mask grew on. Jung called it persona. It's not fake. It's a part of you created for the outside world. The image you walk to work with. You talk to your parents. You laugh with your friends. Answering the question, how are you? It's you, but not all the way through. The problem starts when the mask takes away your voice. when it starts talking instead of you, smiling when it hurts, saying it's okay when you want to scream, being active when there's nothing inside. And you don't notice that you're not living as a person but as a function. You're playing a role. Successful, smart, calm, fun. And the better you play it, the worse it gets inside. For it's not you who lives. It's a living shell. And every day it thickens. It's harder to breathe. It's harder to be honest. For honesty is a risk. And the mask is a defense. But in time, even that defense becomes a trap. For it's not you who is loved, it's the image. You are valued not for your soul, but for your function. And you're afraid that if you take off the mask, you'll lose everything. But the truth is that as long as you're in the mask, you have nothing real. You need a persona. But it has to be a garment, not a skin. It can be put on and taken off. You should not hide the heart. When you start living like a mask, your soul dies. And with it, your connection to yourself. Integration begins when you ask, who am I when I don't try to be liked? And that's when the present begins to emerge from the depths. It's silent at first. It's tentative. But it's there. And louder with each step. The present is not always comfortable. It doesn't laugh on demand. It doesn't say what it needs to say. But it lives. And that's why it's valuable. It is no longer a game. It's presence. A powerful conclusion. As long as you hold on to the mask, you are not seen. And no matter how many people are around, you're still yourself. But when you take it off, finally someone touches not the role, but you. There is a part of you that was once noble. But when you reject the pain, when you don't listen to yourself, the king hides. And in its place comes another. The shadow king is the part of you that wants to control everything. It can look like demanding yourself. The constant pursuit of results. A man with a shadow king promises it in himself. Jung said, every archetype has a light and a shadow. But no fortress protects against itself. It then hides it. True strength is not control, it is the ability to be open, staying centered. A powerful conclusion. You have not become a tyrant. You have become a protector of who protects who. And to regain your luminous power, all you have to do is stop and see yourself again. A mother is not only the person who gave you life. It is also the space from which you came into the light. Her warmth, her gaze, her silence, all these have become part of your inner map. Jung called it the Great Mother, an archetype that permeates your being from the beginning. When Mother gives you freedom, you grow. When she holds on too long, you knit. Sometimes this power manifests as overcaring, sometimes as an absence. But in both cases, one thing forms inside you, a waiting child. Love, approval, warmth. And it goes no further. A wounded mother isn't always a trauma. It's a reflection, leaving a need inside to be rescued. And you can be an adult, strong, successful, but inside waiting for someone to come along and give you permission. To move. To power. To freedom. You are not your own father. And yourself not to have. This is how responsibility fatigue arises. Fear of loneliness. The constant need for approval. The feeling that you're not fully grown up. Because somewhere deep down there's a child waiting for someone to take the pressure off. And as long as that child is in control, life is not yours. It's the waiting. This archetype creeps into relationships. You're looking for a mother or a father in your partner. Not consciously, but with the hope that maybe now I'll feel better. And at first it does. And then it does. Because partners are not made to be parents. And love turns into dependence. And Mother Rana is also the fear of going into the unknown. There's no one there to hold your hand. There's only you. And the vastness. And you're delaying the choice. You're delaying life. Somewhere deep down you feel, I'm not ready yet. Jung said growing up is the death of a child. But not literally. It's a transition. It's that moment when you become someone who can support yourself. Not to wait for love, but to be it. Not to ask for permission, but to act. Not to play the role of victim, but to choose. Powerful conclusion. You don't have to wait for someone to support you. You are already enough to be the one you've been searching for all your life. And when you accept that, the mother archetype stops holding you back. And you breathe freely for the first time. You planned. You calculated. You drew a life plan in your head where everything would work out. Reasonably. Safely. Predictably. And suddenly everything collapses. People disappear. Work loses its meaning. Relationships break down. It hurts. And you don't understand. Why? This is the moment when the trickster appears. He is the archetype of chaos. But not for the sake of destruction. But for the sake of awakening. He bursts into your life when you have lived too long in someone else's life. When you have chosen stability over truth. Comfort over growth. And he comes not in the form of an enemy, but in the form of loss. The trickster laughs when you cling to control. Because he knows, the real you is beyond this control. He flips the script, makes everything illogical. And that is precisely why real. Because the truth is not always convenient, but it is always alive. In fairy tales, the trickster is the one who deceives, confuses, changes roles. But it is thanks to him that the hero goes beyond, leaves the safety zone, faces the shadow, and finds himself, not as he planned, but as he should become. In real life, the trickster is a crisis. It is betrayal. It is dismissal. It is a broken heart. It is everything that makes you stop and look differently at yourself, at life, at the truth. This is the moment when you cannot play the role, because the stage is destroyed, and then something wakes up in you. First silent rage, then despair, and then a new voice, the one that was drowned out, the one who spoke softly, the one who waited a long time. The trickster is not evil. It is the archetype of transformation. He does not want to hurt. He wants to fire. From expectations, from falsehood, from the stories you believed in. Because you are not a role, not a function, not a mask. You are a process. And this process cannot be controlled. If you try to hold on, it will be even more painful. But if you allow yourself to fall into this chaos, anew you will be born from it. The one who no longer plays, but lives. Powerful conclusion. When everything collapses, it is not always the end. Sometimes it is the very beginning that you did not dare. The trickster simply came before your courage. There is a force within you that does not scream. It does not need recognition. It does not seek war. It does not prove its truth. It simply is. This is the warrior. Not the one who chops with a sword, but the one who stands, straight, quietly, unbending, even when everything else falls. A true warrior is not born in battle. He is born in silence, after everything has broken for you. When you got up to run, got up to play, and in the end remained with yourself, without masks, without roles, without protection. And it is there, in the void, that you find him. This archetype does not live in horror, but it does not live in anger either. Its support is not in control but in presence. It does not destroy enemies, it sees the shadow, and acts with understanding, not reaction. For the warrior's heart is not armor. It is a compass. You can feel the warrior in you when you speak the truth, even when you are afraid. When you stand up for yourself, even when your hands are shaking. When you stay, even when you want to run away. The warrior is not about muscle strength. It is about the strength to be. Men who have not integrated the warrior often become victims or aggressors. Women lose their voice or close their hearts. Because the warrior is a structure. It is the ability to hold, to endure, to be present. And it is this presence that becomes a support not only for oneself but also for others. Jung said that each archetype opens when consciousness is ready to receive it. And the warrior comes when you have already gone through loss, chaos, and disappointment. When you no longer seek victory, but seek the truth. Only the one who has learned to live with an open heart in a harsh world becomes a real warrior. Because his strength is not in the blows but in the limits. Not in defense but in clarity. Not in victory but in presence. Powerful conclusion. You don't have to fight to be strong. It is enough to remain yourself when everything around you is pressing. And then your warrior will become not only your protection, but also a light for others. There is a place in each of us that we have been searching for all our lives. It is not a physical place. It is a state. It is a point where your soul and your body are in the same rhythm. Where you are not torn between the desire to be and the fear of being. This is your true essence. And this is what you strive for, even if you do not always understand what it is you are looking for. Jung called this archetype the self. It is not just wholeness. It is a deep perception of yourself as a part of the whole world, and not a separate element. It is a place where there is no division between your light and dark parts. You accept both without fear or shame. The self is not just collectedness. It is the moment when all the experienced archetypes merge into a single harmony. Mother, warrior, trickster, persona, all these forces begin to work towards one goal, your wholeness. And you no longer have to choose between them. They cease to be contradictions. When you become whole, you stop fighting with yourself. You stop being ashamed of your weaknesses and greatness at the same time. You stop trying to be perfect because you understand that perfection is an illusion. But you can be yourself. And that is enough. The self is when you accept all parts of yourself, even those that you previously rejected. It is the acceptance of the shadow, the dark side that was cast into the subconscious long ago. And this dark side can no longer destroy you. You have seen it. You understand it. This does not mean that you stop changing or evolving. On the contrary, It is the recognition that change is an integral part of life. This is when you no longer fear the unknown, because you know that your real self is already ready to meet any challenge. The archetype of the self does not call for perfection. It calls for peace. Peace in yourself. Peace in the world. Recognizing that you do not have to be anything else to be enough. This is the moment when you understand, you are not perfect but you are whole. And it's incredible. It's a place where you accept yourself even if you don't fully understand yourself. It's a place where you let go of everything that's not yours. Powerful conclusion. The self is not a search for something external. It's a return home. Home to yourself. And when you return, you're no longer gone. You're whole. And that's enough to be free.